Welcome everyone to episode 101 of the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. We are your hosts, Adam, Amy, and Russell Gibson. To be continued from 100.
Yeah.
You don't miss out. You
Definitely
get to
not.
tell your story.
Absolutely.
It's time.
Great. So I think where I wanted to start was basically like a thank you list.
Yeah.
So I wanted to thank you because I think we've had some fantastic times.
Yes.
And I think that we have grown together quite well.
Yeah.
And I think that the improvement is measurable. And I think we have a good time each week, and
You do.
it's been great. So thank you, Adam.
No, it's been a pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah. I'd say most of the time we get on and don't have too much fuss, and I think that's pretty important because I like to keep fuss to a minimum.
That's it. Oh, look. I mean, every show has its. I mean, being able to commit to every week,
yeah,
for such a long period of time,
yeah,
is it's definitely not easy.
Well,
life happens.
Yeah, I mean, life gets in the way, but I also say too, if you something that you enjoy, I think that makes the degree of difficulty much less. That's how I feel about this. Like for me, this is not a fuss,
Yeah.
I'd like to thank Khalil and Slabbed because I feel like he was the first guy who kind of stepped up and gave us a bit of a hand.
Yep.
And I would like to thank Tim from Slabstrong. I think he was a really good guest. And I'd like to thank Brian Forsman. He was the one that I was really keen to get on because
I remember that was a great interview.
Yeah, he was just like someone that was so just important for me. And then I think I'm leaving sort of the biggest one to last is EJ Carts. Those guys have just been with us
on board. Since they jumped on board, it's been amazing. Yep.
And so, I hope we continue building on that. And there's a few things I've been wanting to do with them for a few months now, but we just need to sort of carve out some time to work it out. But at the same time, the take-home message for me with EJ Cards is just thank you because I think our show is better for having them on board. So thank you so much. Yeah. So I wanted to start off today's show with a segment from Generate. So this is from Ryan. So Ryan has been, I would say, instrumental to our show because I'm just continuing my thank you here because basically he's supplied us with original content at our demand. So basically I email Ryan and then within the next day or the next week, he gets back to us and then he gives us this.
Or sometimes we just say stuff and we go, I wonder if, and he's like, I heard this episode.
Yeah.
Thought that was a great idea. Here's some stats.
Yeah. So just to introduce this next segment. So this all came about when there was a suggestion that LeBron might start signing again because he's no longer Upper Deck exclusive. So
that's right.
The suggestion was, are his older autographs now going to be becoming less valuable? So I put that to Ryan, and then Ryan went through and put some stats together for us. So I'm not going to say each brand, but and I can put these on social media, but what he put together was PSA graded autographs and signatures and BGS autographs and signatures. So we used different word phrasing and searches.
Yeah.
And I just added them together. So I'll just give you the total number. So Kobe's got 25,700. Jordan's got 18,225. LeBron has got 12,900. Luka has got 16,000. Now this is to me where it gets really interesting. Curry's got 11,000. Ja Morant has got 10,300. Giannis has got 8,750. Zion has got 6,400 and Cade Cunningham has got 3,100. I think he put Cade in there just to keep me happy, to be honest, because of my Cade obsession. So Kobe is ahead by about 7K, which to me is
I think that makes sense to me.
I'm surprised because I heard that he didn't always do all of his signatures, and when he did pass away, there was a large number of redemptions and cards that he hadn't signed, right?
True.
So I'm surprised he got up to the highest ever. So it's a bit unfair to say, he didn't sign all of his cards. He signed, and that's only the graded ones, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you. What were you saying?
No, I do think it's interesting, just the numbers, but Jordan, because the Panini era, I just think Jordan's numbers are obviously low because of the Upper Deck affiliation.
Yeah, so I think Upper Deck, and I think also, again, his reputation was that he never did
Yeah.
all of his signings anyway.
Yeah.
And I also kind of get the feeling with him now, he's almost too big to be sitting around signing cards. Like, he's really got into that next stratosphere of celebrity and, and businessman.
True.
Oh, look, I suppose now he's sold the Hornets, he might have a bit more time on his hands, but
Maybe that's why he sold them, so he could sign some cards for everybody.
yeah. So LeBron is 6,000 less than Jordan.
LeBron's numbers do surprise me a little.
Oh, I got Luca wrong. Sorry. Luca is closer to 12,000. I said 16,000. Sorry about that. My maths is a bit shonky.
Okay.
Now, the
The
one
thing
I'm
is that, but
surprised
you
at,
think about Luca Giannis, who we got Luca Giannis, Jar, Cade, they haven't been in the league as long as
yeah.
Kobe, LeBron, right?
Yeah, that's right. So LeBron with a 20-year career has got the same amount as Luca.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. Luca's been around for what, 5 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I suppose, yeah, when you say it like that, that does give me some concerns of the long-term viability of his cards, particularly if he doesn't play out as you predict.
yeah.
That could definitely mean that his stuff is going to fall off, because even his sticker autographs in lesser sets like, say, Mosaic, they sell
Yeah.
for 200, 300 USD. Like, they don't go cheap.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting. Curry's the one that really caught my attention because, and this is probably a very small-minded view on this, but my view on Curry is that they use him for a lot of white boxes and replacements. So in my
Yeah.
head, I thought that he'd signed a lot of autographs.
Hmm.
So you can sort of look at that number and say, well, yes, he has signed a lot, because, again, taking to your point of, his career hasn't finished yet and he's up to 11,000 already. But I thought that number would be much higher. I thought that would be around sort of the 15K mark.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's a
Jar's got heaps, 10,000. But Giannis is the really interesting one, because he had a reputation of holding on to cards, particularly one-of-ones, and not putting them out. He hasn't got a great reputation for signing. He's made some changes for that, and he acknowledges that, and he understands the importance, and he has actually been signing more. But if you think about his resume, it's stronger than Morant's, it's stronger than Luka's. So I think those are probably more valuable.
Yeah, I think Giannis and Curry are very interesting ones to focus in on there for sure. For sure.
What's your takeaway from those stats?
I think it's interesting with because it's all graded cards only.
That is true. That is true.
So we're not looking at the full picture, and we can't look at the full picture. Like, you actually don't know how many cards they actually did sign.
That's a good point, mate, because actually that might skew the Doncic stats, because he's in the era of like high volume grading, whereas, the Jordan,
Yeah.
LeBron, not all of that stuff.
Yeah. Although that said, you look at PSA numbers, and the three most graded players are
Yeah.
Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron, right?
Yeah.
So then the fact that they've got such high numbers of their autos makes sense.
Yep.
Because of just the sheer volume that gets graded of their stuff. I think the numbers will dwindle as if Luka does plateau and dip off.
Do you mean, when you say
Curry,
numbers, do you mean sales numbers?
Like if he like declines as a prominent player in the league and people start selling out, I don't think as many people, like, if the values of the cards keep dropping, I don't know. Maybe they don't. But he could just put an MVP season in and shut me right up, and then his numbers will surpass Kobe, because people will grade absolutely everything. But you're right. Steph and Giannis are the ones to focus in on. I think tracking those autos down would be a task worth undertaking.
So let's go full circle and talk about the whole, idea of this project. Do you think that LeBron's signing will decrease the value of his cards, of his current autographs? Yeah. And I think it's as simple as that, because when you look at these numbers, when you've got 25,000 Kobe's, which is double, basically.
Well, what did we say in the last episode? The going rate for a Kobe Bryant autograph.
The basement is now at 2,000.
So the basement's at 2,000 now for a Kobe auto. LeBron's aren't going down. And Kobe's got the most graded autos.
By a very long way.
Mm-hmm.
Plus 7,000.
Yep.
So do you think in that case, LeBron's autos are undervalued and Kobe's are overvalued then?
I think the LeBrons are undervalued, maybe. The thing is, because Kobe is no longer with us, like even though it's the slimmest of chances, there's the opportunity that Jordan can sign something. There's the opportunity that LeBron can sign something.
I think that's the suggestion, is that he will be signing again in the near
Sure.
future with Fanatics. Yeah.
What's guaranteed is Kobe can't sign again.
Yeah.
So what we've got is what we've got.
So the other thing that, so again, just to set the premise up, which I probably should have done probably before,
Yeah.
but so the reason this has really come into my mindset is because obviously that information came out, but I think we have gone through this very big downturn. Potentially there's going to be more ongoing downturn with, economies, and we're also in the off season. So you can make a very strong argument. Actually, now is a very good time to be buying a card. So I think
Yeah, for
this is also what's
sure.
going through. Look, not that I will be buying one, but I always entertain these sort of hypotheticals and look for
It's
cards.
the time of year. It's definitely the time of
Yeah,
year to buy. Is this lull before training camps start?
I personally think Kobe being deceased is a big factor into when you should buy a Kobe, because my gut feeling is they'll just continue just to go up
Creep
slowly.
up. Yep.
Yeah. But in saying that, I probably, looking at these stats, it does make me think that LeBron is undervalued.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably. They they're it's funny with players like a deceased player anyway. But so Kobe Day was Thursday, and I'd be curious to know sales wise if that shows an upwards trend
So my
at
theory
the
on
end
that
of
though is that
August.
the numbers of sales go up in those times, but the prices don't. And I'm going to stick to this theory. I think people save up for these dates, like what happened with Tatum in the finals, and the
Yeah.
market gets flooded and the prices actually go down. Like I'm
Oh, look, I'm just curious more than anything. I'm just
No,
yeah.
no, no. I know what you're saying, but I'm just saying to you, like,
Mm,
just and add to that. That's my now current theory with all this stuff is, it's actually a good time to buy during those like
yeah,
flood times, not to sell. So yeah, the
possible.
Zeke on the Zag. Alrighty. So to introduce my first player is Hakeem Olajuwon. When I was growing up as a kid, I didn't actually practice as Jordan. I practiced as Hakeem. And I can't even really tell you why, but his game, I just found his game so amazing to see, like a big guy do the things that he can do. Because other than shooting the three ball, he could pretty well do everything. He could score like
Yeah,
a madman. He could defend it like a crazy person, and he could pass, well enough that like they'd give him the ball every time down the court, and he would either pass it out or score. Like that's as simple as that. So you know, I was
Hakeem.
I was obsessed with him, and
Yeah,
I had a life-size poster of him in my room, which literally was bigger than my doorway. Like, it was just crazy.
yeah. He would have
I
been
don't
taller
even
than
know
your
where
door, wouldn't he?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't even know where I got it from, but anyway. So I wanted to do 10 statistics of Hakeem that are important, but I started to go through his resume, and I could have been talking all night. So I'll just try and pick out a couple, but he was
Yep.
all league nearly 20 times. And the way they count all league is defensive and rookie and all NBA. So that's a little bit misleading, but he was a two-time champion, two times finals MVP, and a one-time regular season MVP.
Yep.
There was heaps of other awards too, but I think the one we have to talk about is his block shots, because he has got 3,830 all-time blocks, and the number alone probably isn't that impressive until you start to look down the list. So second on the list is Dikembe Mutombo with 3,289. So there's a
Mhm.
600 block difference, right? So then you kind of go, okay, what about some of the other people? So then you start going down the list. Tim Duncan is at 3,000, so 800 blocks behind, and he's probably regarded one of the greatest, modern defenders.
Yep.
David Robinson, 2,900. Keep going down the list. So now you talk about some of the more recent big guys. Dwight Howard, 2,200. So that's 1,600 blocks less. Ben Wallace, 2,100 blocks. Now you look at the current players, you have to go down to 25, and that's Serge Ibaka. He's at 1,759, which is nearly half the number of blocks. So
Wow.
if that makes sense, like it sort of gives you an idea of
I thought
just how
Davis would be close, actually. I thought Davis would be
Anthony
on the list.
Davis.
Yeah.
So Anthony Davis is at
Oh, he gets injured a
37.
lot. He gets injured a lot. Never
Yeah,
mind.
he's at 37, and he's got 1,527 blocks.
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert is at 44 with 1,452. So, you know what I mean? Like
Wow.
it sort of seems like one of those records, you know,
That's not getting eclipsed anytime soon.
yeah. And you sort of go further down the list to see, oh, is there someone coming along who's currently playing that, could break it? But like I'm down to 189 now, and there's no one there that really. Embiid's at
Even, yeah.
196 with 654 blocks. You know what I mean? Like it's just,
Just,
it's a
yeah.
crazy one.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. I've tried to pick out just 3 cards of players that I like, and I'm going to start with this one. It is the Immaculate Sneaker Swatch.
Oh, nice.
I was obsessed with these. These sneaker swatches, by the way, are crazy cards. Like some of the sneaker pieces they put into them are just incredible. And this one is, these are next to a very low end. This one though is a 1989 Fleer, and I just kind of like the idea of it's like a 30-year-old piece of cardboard just like sitting around.
Yeah.
This one is the Fleer Medal, and it's a little bit tricky to see, but he's playing against Shaq in this picture, and that helps me sort of reminisce when the Rockets swept the Lakers. So that was, the Magic in the finals.
That's it.
Now, I went on to Card Ladder to look at Hakeem rookies, and it is crazy. So let's look at a PSA 9 because
Hakeem's
numbers
rookie is the 80.
86. So
Yeah.
he was the same draft class as Jordan. He went 1, Jordan went 3. Yeah. So PSA 9 is currently selling at 436 USD. Now, the peak of that sold for 2,200, during that COVID crazy.
COVID crazy. Yep.
PSA 10 is currently sitting at nearly 5,000. Now, are you ready for this? The peak of that sold for 25K. Like, just wild. Anyway.
So is that all right? So my question about that card, is that something you would consider buying with that being in mind?
Yeah. So actually, I was getting to that. So I'll answer that. I'll answer
Yep.
that question specifically. So,
Perfect.
so look, I think with the pop count on these, you really have to buy to your grade. So PSA 8, this is where I'm going to be buying it. They're about 145 USD. So
Yeah.
I think for me, that's where I feel comfortable at. The pop of these is huge. So there's 5,000 of the PSA 8.
Yeah.
There's 2,000 of the 9, and there's 344. Like there's heaps of them. Like they're not a rare card. And I think, so let's go back to the swatch. This is just a really interesting card.
Yep.
And that's about the same price as a PSA 8. So, I feel in my price point, a PSA 8 and a sneaker swatch is like just perfect. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
When I sort of came back to collecting, I was discovering Facebook pages, and my first big deal was with a guy, and he sold me this Hakeem lot, and it had about 50 different Hakeem base cards, and I've got them in a folder now. And again, tonight when I was prepping for the show, I was just like flicking through, and I've added a lot more to it. So some of them, from that original lot, and some of them were just, cards that I picked up along the way. But look, there's actually heaps of Hakeem, just like base cards. I've probably got about 150 different Hakeems in no particular order, just in this folder. It's a really fun little PC. Yeah, I love it.
Nice. It's one of those things. That's probably a question for a later point. Is how do you store a collection sometimes? And that's like, do you
I've
put them in
mostly got mine
folders? Do you put
in
them in
binders,
boxes?
in the 9
Yeah.
pocket binders, because I like them keen to sit there and just sort of
And
flick through
flicking.
them. And
Yeah.
actually, the protection in those is relatively good.
Yep.
And look, let's be honest, those cards are $1, $2, $3, $5 at the absolute max. So we're not talking about $10 or even $20 cards, So For
Yeah.
those type
Yeah.
of cards, that's perfect. Thank you to our sponsor, EJ Cards, a small but motivated company specializing in cards. EJ Cards believe passionately in great bargains and excellent service, which is why they commit themselves to give you the best of both. If you're looking for something new, you're in the right place. EJ Cards strive to be industrious and innovative, offering customers something they want, putting their desires at the top of the priority list. Find EJ Cards at www.ejcards.com.au. The next guy I want to talk about was Darren Fox. I collected him, much like your reason how you got into Randall, is that you felt like the value was there for his performance. And
Yeah.
the big boy out of that draft turned out to be Tatum, and a lot of the hobby money went to that. And Fultz was the other one that people spent really heavily on. But I was watching a lot of League Pass at that time, and for me, Fox was just an absolute no-brainer. Like, it's as simple as that. That's why.
He's going to grow into his skin and,
Yeah, I
and,
was
and
like,
boom eventually.
this is
Yep.
good value. I enjoy watching him play. He's hyper skilled. So
Yeah.
I limited it down to 4 cards. I tried to do 3, but I couldn't. I had to go with 4. So I'm going to start with this one. This is a noir, and I tried to pick interesting ones. I didn't do like the silver rookies or the optic rookies. I tried to do sort of something a little bit different. This is a Showtime card. Now, this card was gifted to me, and the person that gifted it to me, this is part of my shoddy memory, but also I didn't have a system for this of keeping track of who gifted me cards. Now I put a green piece of paper at the back of the card and write who gave it to me on. And that's for
Yeah.
2 reasons. So then I don't on-sell it, because I think that's poor form. If someone gives you a card and then you flip it, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not doing
Yeah.
it deliberately if I do it
Yeah.
to you. It's just like, anyway.
No, I feel you.
So look, if the person who's listening to this gave this to me, please reach out to me, because I'd like to thank you again for it. It is a very special card in my collection. And I started my Fox description to this. This is the rookie ticket from Optic.
Ooh, nice.
Sorry, from Contenders.
Yep.
That is numbered to 10. And again, shout out to our boy Tim at Slabstrong. That is in a Slabstrong
Very
casing.
nice.
Yep.
It's the golden ticket.
It is the gold ticket, the literal
Yep.
gold ticket. That's PSA 9, but actually I could care less about the grade. There's 10 of these cards. So like,
Exactly.
and I've got one of them. This is a 1-of-1 Fox.
Ooh.
Again, terrible picture on this. This is from the Opulence set. Don't think I might have maybe 2 1-of-1s. So, you know what I mean? Very
Nice.
few.
Yep.
Now,
Yep.
I said to you before, Gold Standard, it's a sneaky set, and I got confused. Actually, this is Opulence. This is the card that I was thinking of at the time. This card is a very, very sneaky, hot-looking card. This is the Opulence Platinum card. This is numbered to 10. On-card autograph. Now, this is BGS 9, but you have to almost consider that to like a black label or a 10, because these cards get damaged really, really, really easily.
Very much so.
Scratches on the surface in particular. Interesting, the thing that let down this card was actually the corners, so 8.5 on the corners, but I love this card a lot. So, look, I've tried to do it.
Gold Standard do they're in Chronicles these days, aren't they? Isn't it?
Yeah, they are. They brought it back.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So then what happened was everything was going really well with my collection. I was filling it out quite nicely, getting value in spots where I was quite happy about. And then Gary V comes out and says, Darren Fox is the person to buy. And look, you can look at this 2 ways. You can say, well, you're too stupid to know that this is going to be a blip, and you could have sold all of your Fox and then bought it all back at half price afterwards, which you could have done. Or you could have been like me, that kind of just got angry and hated on Gary V and then went and bought somebody else. So then I started buying Halliburton, and this is my favorite Halliburton card. I've spoken about this card before. I've got other Halliburtons, but this is a select rookie card.
Number 2.
Number to 15. So this is the first off the line edition.
Ooh, nice.
And I got this in an eBay auction when literally it was me and one other person bidding. And I think I paid like $100 US for that. And look, nothing is ever not going to be flipped, but there's something very near and dear to my heart with this card.
Yeah.
So then for about 12 months, I just bought Halliburton, because Fox like doubled in a period of probably 3 months.
Yeah.
Like it was
It gets
literally,
hard when a player does spike like that, and you're like, oh, it makes it
yeah.
harder to collect.
Then in the last few months, he's recovered a lot, but say 6 months ago, he went down to like cards that were selling for 600 went down to like $100.
Mm.
So then I really heavily got back into Fox again.
Yep.
Yeah. Then the COVID crazy happened, and I wanted to buy into a prospect. So Martin Holmes planted the seed that I should buy Admiral Schofield, and I'm actually a little bit ashamed to tell you how much Schofield I have. I have an entire shoebox of autographs and numbered cards. No, sorry, suitcase of autographs and numbered cards. And then base rookie cards and unnumbered stuff. I've got another entire box of that too. Like it is actually
Wow.
ridiculous. But the funny see people ask me about this and say like, "Oh, don't you regret it?" But I don't. I actually don't regret any of it. And the real question is would you do it again? And probably the answer is I wouldn't, because he was probably a little bit of a too deep a prospect. I could have just done someone like, say, Bogdan Bogdanovic or Malik Monk, even.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because at
yeah.
least they're
It
still
was too
NBA
deep a
players.
take to,
Yeah,
yeah.
like this dude is like he's still technically in the league, but he's on a two-way contract. And look, I would say that the Orlando Magic roster this year is really young and really deep, kind of a bit like OKC.
Yeah,
And it's the type of dude that will just get pushed out if they need to, bring in a veteran to like, solidify the roster. So
yeah, for sure.
I'm going to start with this card because this is, in my opinion, probably the worst card that Panini made in their time. It's a noir. It's an on-card autograph, but it's called In Focus. But
Mm,
if you look at the card, it's actually almost looks like a scope that they put on the gun with like the aiming bits,
yeah.
and so the narrative could be written that it's like looking down the gun at like an
Looking down the
young
barrel.
African American man who's about to be shot. So I just think that they should never do this card like ever again.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, especially given America's gun history at the
Oh
moment.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like the optics of this card is horrible. But what I do want to point out is his autograph. He has got, and that was the other reason why
That is
I
a
bought
big
him.
auto.
It's amazing. And so the backstory on this is that he actually had never written in cursive before. He went through school basically. I don't know how that happens. Maybe that's just the new generation of like, young kids or whatever. Um,
Crazy.
yeah, so he actually learnt how to write cursive to sign his autograph. So that
That's
was
pretty
like
cool.
something he did, yeah.
That's amazing.
National Treasures horizontal RPA. This patch is so juicy you can almost like chew it. It's just like
Yeah,
it's so thick. This one.
that's
Um,
awesome.
it's actually got 4 colors in it. It's a little bit tricky to see. That's numbered to 75. I've got the 49 and the 25 somewhere too. This is a one of one. This is the Optic. This is called the Signature Series. I haven't done the set of this, but I do have an eBay saved notification set up. But I've actually sworn off buying any more. But that was probably the only Schofield card I'll make this exception if I can complete the rainbow. Why have I got this one out? It's the same card. It's the same card. This is to 49. Anyway, I won't show that one. That'll be my 3. So that's my little cards that I wanted to share. And I think probably to reflect, I would probably say that I enjoy completing sets just as much as I enjoy buying single cards.
Yeah.
And Matt Tabe made a comment a while ago about the difficulty in completing sets and how cheap it is to buy them. And I'll agree with that. But the thing I haven't worked out how to do is how do you share on social media your sets? I need to work out how to set up a camera and also the angle so you can like,
Oh, so you've got like a.
so then you can just flip the page and go through it. So that's also on my very long
I'm sure
term
there's like a
to do
studio
list.
thing where you can do like a slideshow style. I don't know. We're in the days of modern
Yeah.
media, and it's gonna be a way to do it.
I think I would like to share that at some point too, just some of the sets I've collected because
Yeah.
you put so much time into doing them. Like you could maybe argue even more than just buying like, personal cards for like look, I don't
Yeah.
know how much time you put into getting your rainbow, but it's time consuming, man.
It was like actually just going and looking and trying to find the actual card you're after. Like you can set up eBay alerts and stuff for.
So I think that's it, mate. That's for me pretty well done. I think I've done my thank yous. I've done my Hakeem's.
Had
My
any
flops.
any interesting meets and greets with players?
So
I was waiting for a story from like Jam Session in the early 90s or something.
So our family wasn't a particularly team sport family.
Yeah.
And so I actually call myself an NBA atheist. Now, I'm going to put a small segue into this. Yesterday, I actually signed up and I subscribed to a Sacramento Kings podcast. So all they talk about is the Sacramento Kings. And they did this like deep dive into Skal Labissiere. So I actually had this thought of like, actually, am I a Kings fan? Like, is it now official? So maybe I should make this episode about my official coming out as a Kings fan.
Coming out as a Kings fan.
Yeah. And I've never had a team before.
That is big.
Yeah, it is.
That is huge.
I kind of feel good about it though. But the follow-up question to that though is like, what if De'Aaron Fox leaves? Does that mean, because really my interest in the Kings has stemmed wholly from Fox.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to stay that way. Like Randall left the Lakers.
So are you still a Lakers fan, or are you now
Of
more
course, I'm a Lakers fan through and through.
right.
Like I bleed purple and gold.
So you're more interested in the Lakers, and that's how you got into Kobe and Randall, as opposed to me, I got into the Kings because of Fox.
Yeah, I loved the first lot of basketball I ever really watched was Showtime. It was like that's the snippets that I saw.
Yeah.
And everyone was like wants to be like Mike, and I'm like, what about Magic? And then everybody was like, I was at high school, and that's when he was out of the league because of HIV. Yep. So that was really, I got laughed at a lot for being a Lakers fan at that, because I'd come in at a point where I'm like, I like watching this guy play, and they're like, well, he's not allowed to play anymore. So that's when I jumped on the Pippen bandwagon.
So funny you should mention that. So there's been a whole social media thing this week about Steph Curry versus Magic.
Yeah.
And actually on next week's run sheet, I've got like a deep dive into Magic, because
you
go through that dude's resume. Mm-hmm. You know, I skimmed over Hakeem's. Like,
yeah,
Magic's is 5
phenomenal,
times greater than Hakeem's. You know, it's just wild. Yeah.
They anyone that hasn't watched it or has the ability to watch it, get on to Winning Time. The Lakers. It's a drama. It's all sort of dramatized. Yeah, dramatized version.
Season 2's out too, by the way.
Correct. I've watched the first one. I've queued up the second, and I think the third's out now. I don't know, but really good. There's also another. There's plenty of Lakers documentaries everywhere, but Winning Time was interesting as far as it's centered around Magic and that era. Anyway,
I think we sign this off.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, thanks for indulging me, and thanks for listening, everybody.
We'll get back to listening to the listeners. Or entertaining them, and rather than indulging ourselves.
Yeah, we'll get back to regular programming next week.
It will be. But this was good. This was really good. Yeah, it's a massive milestone. I think we should both be really proud of getting... There's not many shows out there that sort of... like, especially independent shows that can make it all the way to 100.
Yeah.
I've got friends that have tried podcasting. I've seen shows start with really good intentions and ideas and just not sort of get much traction. But yeah, to make 100 episodes, it's big pat on the back for both of us.
Yep. Why not, right?
But yeah. Awesome. All right. Thanks to everybody that stuck around and tuned in this week. And we will see you for regular scheduled programming next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Thanks, Ad.
Thanks, Russell.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.